In America, more than 15 million people remain out of work, but in those unemployment lines, it's unlikely that you'll find anyone who was laid off or fired by the federal government. In fact, recent surveys indicate that job security among federal employees is nearly 100%.
And people can be laid off for any number of reasons, so there's no absolute guarantee.
Nobody's 100% job security. That don't exist.
But analysis of public government records indicates that's exactly the case. Out of the civilian workforce of 2.1 million people, 11,668 workers were fired in 2010, only about 0.5%. In the private sector, experts say the average rate for turnover is 3 to 5%.
Did you receive a resume?
But while human capital consultant Greg Smith says there are many positive aspects to this kind of stability, the negatives can be measured in lost productivity, flexibility, and money.
To have employees who are sort of going through the motions of doing their job, who have a sense, no bias toward action, in the sense that let's fill up the day with activity as opposed to actually meeting some targets. So that's the challenge.
Some examples of the minimum turnover can be found at a number of federal agencies that employ more than 1,000 workers. At the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, which employs more than 18,000 people, 19 workers were fired or laid off, roughly about 1%. And at some smaller agencies like the Federal Communications Commission and the Federal Trade Commission, no workers were fired or laid off. The federal job security rate is so high, a recent survey indicated a person with a federal job is more likely to die before reaching the age of retirement than being fired or laid off. The issue is part of the ongoing debt debate in this country, with many conservative politicians insisting there are too many people on the United States payroll. The current climate is expected to change, as calls to trim the government will likely become a reality if and when a debt reduction plan is agreed to. While no one knows where the cuts might hit the hardest, most analysts agree the reductions will change the government landscape forever and any sense of security for government workers in the future. In New York, Gary Anthony Ramsey, Our News Now.